Today on Around Kansas, Deb is encouraging others to share people and stories special to them. Next in our wildlife segment, Dave Kendall is back with another journey around the Santa Fe Trail. On the Front Porch, Bryce is talking with Elaine Johannes about dealing with feelings of grief and loss during this pandemic. Ron Wilson is back with another poem, and we end with a fun story about cameos from Michelle Martin.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Good morning. Welcome to Around Kansas. I'm Deb Goodrich. It's good to have you with us this morning. So, the old Chinese curse, of course, may you be blessed to live in interesting times, and here we are, living in some interesting times. And in light of the recent pandemic, or the pandemic that we may still be experiencing, a lot of focus has been placed on the 1918 flu pandemic that was devastating worldwide, and of course may have had its origins right here in Kansas. John Barry wrote a terrific book on that epidemic, and that's very interesting. Still available on Amazon, Kindle, whatever, and a lot of Kansas connections. So I encourage you to get that book and take a look at it. Well, my friend Bob Bosebell, semi-relative, Cousin Bob, was working on a story for True West magazine the other day. He is the publisher and just an all-around amazing guy. And he was trying to find a photograph of Dr. Loring Minor, who was practicing in Haskell County when the pandemic possibly began. And he was the first person to report that to the authorities, that we may have something serious on our hands. Well, you would think that finding a photograph of such a prominent individual would be pretty easy. Let me tell you, dear viewer, it is not. And by the time we were through, we had everybody in Haskell County. Sublet was all abuzz. Ohio and Florida on the line. So it was a wonderful, wonderful mystery. And thanks to Bob for including me in the research. So I want to give a shout out to Bob, and make sure to pick up this new issue of True West magazine. It should be on the stand any day, if not already. Or subscribe, and that way you make sure you get a copy of True West. And I'm sharing a link to the blog. He has a fantastic blog that you can follow too. I don't know how he does it. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps on going. Well, last Sunday was Mother's Day, and hope you all had a beautiful day. And I am blessed to have a couple of beautiful daughters and some awesome grandkids, and so I am very blessed. I lost my own mother when I was in my mid-20s, and of course that's been a long time ago, so I've spent more time on earth without her than with her, but she is always with me. And my mom was a beautiful lady who taught me to love God and to love Irish and Scottish music, and so I just want to give a shout out to her today as well. And I also want to encourage you all to share your photos and stories, personal stories, professional stories. Just share those with us on Facebook or send me an email, because a lot of those go into making up our stories. And so I'd love to have you share some of your memories with us. That's kind of the basis for history. When I was a kid, bugging my parents and my grandparents, I was really fortunate to have my grandparents into my 20s. And so they were an incredible link to another time and another way of doing things. So when you talk to your parents, you have memories of your grandparents, share those with us. And those are the nuggets of some pretty amazing stories. And speaking of amazing, we have an amazing show for you today.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for that grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
When you are venturing out and about this summer and fall and throughout the coming years, I want to encourage you to visit the Santa Fe Trail sites. And as you know, I am chair of the 200th anniversary of the Santa Fe Trail coming up next year. And Dave Kendall has been doing some amazing videos about the trail, and this is one of them, talking about what there was before the trail. All our stories start with the land.
Let's start off, Jim, by just maybe describe the landscape a little bit to us and how this fits into when early people show up here on the plains.
Archaeologists have pinpointed that perhaps people were around this area as far back as 10,000 years before now, maybe even earlier. So if we go back, that was about the time that the last glaciation was receding. And if we look at what is today Konza Prairie, we would have seen a spruce forest. And across many parts of the Great Plains, there were indications that there were large stands of spruce forest. So something from that time period to, let's say, the arrival of the Apaches around 1400, something dramatically changed over the course of those thousands of years to reshape a spruce forest into a grasslands.
So with the arrival of these people, are these nomadic people? Are these sedentary people?
By the time you have the Kiowas, Cheyennes, Pawnees, Kaws, many of the other grassland peoples hunting, I don't call them nomadic. They had a sense of where they occupied the land. They had a sense of where the herds were. They had a sense of where they could overwinter and what places were suitable for that, where they would set up their summer or year-long villages. So it was like they had places that they went to from time to time. and they understood where they were. So it wasn't like they were going helter-skelter.
Are they using the same trail every time as they head out west of those
They
locations?
use commonly known trails.
Okay.
Okay. It's like they have a road map in their head. Yeah, okay. So we're going to take this highway this year, and we'll take this highway the next year.
And are those routes that they're using, are those old established routes that animals had used, or are they making their own routes as they go out there?
If you look at, and I know we're going to be talking about the Santa Fe Trail. So if you look about where the Santa Fe Trail runs, I mean, it runs along water courses. And those water courses are very important for animals. So animals have a really good ability to ferret out where the best water sources are. And they're going to follow those trails. Well, if you're a hunter, you're going to follow those same trails. And pretty soon these trails get well established throughout the grasslands.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun. Highways 40, 83, and I-70 come together right here in Oakley. Roads that lead to businesses, to magnificent rock formations, to scenic vistas, to places where legends were made. Roads that lead us home. Discover Oakley, the gateway to Western Kansas.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by Bob Schwartz Financial. Values, commitment, transparency.
With schools closed, memorable events are canceled, such as senior sports seasons, graduations, and proms. While on the front porch, I spoke with K-State Youth Development Specialist Elaine Johannes about how families can help cope with these feelings of grief and loss during the COVID-19 pandemic.
As the COVID-19 response moves ahead, and I had said earlier I'm in my 6th week now being anchored at home, we don't know how much longer, right, we're going to have to be in the social distancing mode. Every week, something else gets stopped, canceled, changed, curtailed. And every time that gets announced, there is grief around it. And parents can feel that too, because the parents look ahead at these marker events. They're called marker events that mark time and mark development and mark how we as a society move things ahead. When we cancel those things, those were the marker events that show we're moving ahead. Development happens. And now it's hard. Ambiguous loss is something that Dr. Pauline Boss, who's a very well-respected international developmentalist, has written about. Ambiguous loss are those losses that happen that don't have a concrete ending, and they may not even be physical. We understand grief when someone does die, right? We understand grief when we lose a job, but this loss of what our goal was, or the loss of time, or the loss of opportunity to celebrate, those are real. And so when we have a teenager, when we have a millennial, when we have any of us who lose the fact that we can't celebrate birthdays, or we can't have commencement, or we can't be in the same place to see how everybody else does respond, it is real. So Dr. Boss encourages us to think about dealing with ambiguous loss, and the very first thing is that we give it a name. We actually have words about it. Call it sadness. Call it loss. The other things that Dr. Boss encourages us to do is actually recognize that our normal responses may look really weird. We may feel like crying, or we may feel like eating cookies to deal with it. We may feel like taking a really long walk, or we may feel like ignoring it and I don't want to get out of bed today. This up and down is normal to deal with these ambiguous losses. The other thing she's encouraged us to do is share perspective, talk about how maybe I, as an older person, maybe dealt with a grief or a loss in my lifetime. Share that perspective. That's helpful to a younger individual who hasn't experienced this stuff before. And finally, Dr. Boss encourages us to do reconstruct ritual and routine, and find meaning in that. And so it takes somebody like a parent to give words to what's happening for a younger individual, and then helpfully have it become meaningful so we as a society can move forward. So what I've just laid out is a process, Bryce, to help us deal with the loss and grief. It's not going to happen in a day, and it's not going to happen in a week, but it's going to happen over time, that we as a society bring some meaning to all of this so we can move ahead, we can develop.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
Highways 40, 83, and I-70 come together right here in Oakley. Roads that lead to businesses, to magnificent rock formations, to scenic vistas, to places where legends were made. Roads that lead us home. Discover Oakley, the gateway to Western Kansas.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for that grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer and work with you.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Let us help feed your family.
As coronavirus has swept across the country, it's changed all our lives, and it's happened very quickly. If you'd have asked me a few weeks ago what social distancing was, I'd have said it was the boys and girls at my junior high school dance. That was a long time ago, and there was a lot of social distancing going on. But social distancing, we now know, means keeping our distance from others to keep everyone safe, and terms like remote work and coronavirus have become part of our daily vocabulary. I wrote a cowboy poem about all this. It's called A Remote Possibility. Casey called into his job site up in town. "Hey boss, I hear there's some new kind of virus going around. It's called coronavirus. It's not in our shop yet, but it sounds like the kind of germ that we don't want to get. I know that I have duties that I don't want to shirk, but I'm going to volunteer for what they call remote work. You know I live out on the ranch in the heart of Flint Hills Range, where I'm miles and miles from town, which I would never want to change. But at home I have a laptop. I can do emails from there, or write up documents that I need to post or share. And when I'm done, I'll saddle up, right out for miles on end, in a 3,000-acre pasture where the vista will extend. I can ride up to a hilltop as a form of recreation and look in every direction without seeing civilization. As I sit astride my horse and tip back my cowboy hat, I figure I can't get any more remote than that." The boss said, "Well, you have a point. It might be just the thing. You'll be accomplishing the ultimate in social distancing." Happy trails.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
At Farm Credit, we partner with America's farmers who work hard each and every day to grow the food that we all enjoy. It's not an easy task, but it's an important one. Farm Credit is proud to work with farmers and ranchers, lending support in rural America.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
In honor of this next story, I'm wearing a couple of cameos today. A little cameo necklace, little cameo earrings. And as you know, Michelle and I love our jewelry. And cameos, I think, are pretty special pieces of jewelry, and they have a remarkable story. And like all of us, there's a past. So let's talk to Michelle this morning and learn what that story is. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Deb, and good morning to all our viewers. I can't help but notice you have on a beautiful cameo, and I'm sure many of our viewers have some in their jewelry boxes as well. Today, let's take a look at the history of the cameo. When you mention the word cameo, images of finely dressed ladies in high-collared blouses come to mind. Today, vintage jewelry collectors and experts like Veronica Stout at Vintage Meet Modern still prize the cameo for its beauty, intricacy, workmanship, and connection to the past. The first cameos appeared in the ancient city of Alexandria, nearly 300 years before the birth of Christ. These ancient works of jewelry art depicted gods, goddesses, mythological heroes, biblical events, and famous rulers. Cameos were not simply relegated to women's jewelry boxes either. Military helmets and accessories like breastplates and sword handles, vases and dishes also used cameos as adornment. During the Elizabethan era in England, cameos became a status symbol for wealthy women. As trade and travel increased in Europe, women began collecting cameos as souvenirs. The enchanting quality of a finely carved cameo intrigued Napoleon Bonaparte, and he wore a cameo to his wedding and funded a school for cameo carvers in Paris. It was the 19th century that saw the meteoric rise of the cameo as a status symbol. Queen Victoria was excessively fond of cameos, and when she was painted or photographed wearing them, their popularity soared. Carved from shells, 19th century cameos featured the profiles of finely dressed ladies we associate with them today. Today, jewelry devotees prize the cameo for its connection to the past and its detailed craftsmanship. A cameo can take anywhere from a few hours to several days to complete. Carvers in Italy and France still produce them by hand, paying attention to every minute detail. Cameos also link us to our personal past. From your great-grandmother's cameo locket worn on a chain to your mother's cameo graduation ring, cameos are cherished heirlooms passed down from one generation to the next, telling the stories of the women who wore and cared for them. The next time you see a cameo, remember that you're looking at a work of art in miniature, a snapshot of the past that you can wear on your lapel, around your neck, or on your wrist. I hope you enjoyed today's segment, and I hope you'll join me next time for another historical adventure somewhere around Kansas.
Thank you for sharing Wednesday morning with me. I'm Deb Goodrich, and I'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer it and work with you.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.